Anxiety, a modern epidemic and the architecture of calm. In the sprawling narrative of contemporary American life, anxiety has shifted from a clinical outlier to a cultural protagonist. It is no longer just a diagnosis found in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, DSM-5. It is the hum of the refrigerator, the notification sound on our smartphones, and the silent companion in our commutes. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, NIMH, nearly 1 in 5 U.S. adults live with a mental illness, with anxiety disorders being the most common. We are living in an era of unprecedented safety and comfort relative to human history, yet our internal alarm systems are ringing louder than ever. This analysis aims to dissect the anatomy of this modern epidemic, distinguish the biological nuance between fear and anxiety, and provide a clinical yet accessible toolkit ranging from cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, to somatic grounding to help reclaim the driver's seat of the mind. Part 1. The anatomy of the epidemic. Why are we so anxious? To understand how to calm the mind, we must first understand why it is agitated. The human brain evolved in an environment of immediate physical survival, the Pleistocene epoch. Our ancestors needed a hypersensitive threat detection system to survive predators, starvation, and exposure. Today, that same biological machinery is operating in a digital, high-velocity environment it was not designed for. The evolutionary mismatch. In the United States specifically, the cultural ethos of hustle culture, the relentless pursuit of the American dream, and the 24-hour news cycle have created a mismatch disease. Our amygdala, the brain's threat center, cannot distinguish between a saber-toothed tiger and a passively aggressive email from a boss. Both triggered the same cascade of stress hormones. However, unlike the tiger, the email does not require physical running or fighting. Consequently, the energy mobilized by the stress response has nowhere to go. It gets trapped in the body, manifesting as chronic tension, racing thoughts, and that familiar tightening in the chest. We are biologically wired for a sprint, but we are living in a marathon of microstressors. Part 2. Distinguishing the signals. Anxiety versus fear. The critical difference. In clinical psychology, making the distinction between anxiety and fear is the first step towards management. While they feel similar physiologically, elevated heart rate, dilated pupils, shallow breathing, they are distinct cognitive events. 1. Fear, the right now response. Fear is an emotional response to a real imminent threat. If you are hiking in the Rockies and stumble upon a bear, the terror you feel is fear. It is functional, adaptive, and keeps you alive. It recruits the sympathetic nervous system to initiate the fight or flight response immediately. Once the threat is gone, the fear subsides. Anxiety, conversely, is the anticipation of a future threat. It is not about the bear standing in front of you. It's about the possibility that a bear might be in the woods next week. Fear focuses on the present. Anxiety focuses on the future. Anxiety becomes a disorder when the anticipation of the threat becomes more debilitating than the threat itself. It is the false alarm that never shuts off. Psychological intervention aims not to eliminate anxiety, which is impossible and evolutionarily unwise, but to recalibrate the alarm system so it only rings when there is actual smoke. Part 3. Cognitive behavioral therapy. The gold standard for rewiring thought. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is currently considered the gold standard in psychotherapy for treating anxiety disorders. The central premise of CBT is empowering. It is not events themselves that disturb us, but rather our interpretation of those events. The cognitive triangle. CBT operates on the cognitive triangle, which illustrates the interconnection between thoughts, I'm going to fail this presentation, feelings, fear, panic, dread, behaviors, procrastinating, avoiding eye contact, speaking too fast. When we are anxious, we often fall into specific patterns of irrational thinking known as cognitive distortions. Identifying these is the first step to dismantling them. Common anxiety-driven distortions. Catastrophizing. Taking a small uncertainty and immediately jumping to the worst-case scenario. Example, my boss didn't smile at me. I'm going to get fired. I'll lose my house. All or nothing thinking. Viewing a situation in only two categories instead of on a continuum. Example, if I'm not perfect, I'm a total failure. Mind reading. Assuming we know what others are thinking, usually something negative, without evidence. The technique. Cognitive restructuring. To combat this, CBT utilizes a technique called cognitive restructuring or reframing. It involves acting as a scientist regarding your own thoughts. The exercise. Identify the thought. Everyone will laugh at me. Examine the evidence. Has this happened before? Is this fact or feeling? Challenge the thought. People are usually focused on themselves, not me. Replace the thought. I might be nervous, but I am prepared and it will likely go fine. This is not positive thinking, it is realistic thinking. It moves the mind from an emotional reasoning state to a logical reasoning state, engaging the prefrontal cortex to dampen the amygdala's fire. Part 4. Somatic interventions. Grounding techniques to anchor the self. While cognitive behavioral therapy addresses the mind, top-down processing, sometimes anxiety is too visceral for logic. When the body is in full panic mode, you can't think your way out of it. You must use bottom-up processing, using the body to calm the mind. The mechanism of grounding. Anxiety pulls our consciousness out of the present moment and projects it into a catastrophic future. Grounding techniques are sensory anchors that forcibly pull your attention back to the physical now. The 5-4-3-2-1 technique. This is a staple in trauma and anxiety therapy because it engages all 5 senses, forcing the brain to process immediate sensory data rather than hypothetical worries. 5 things you can see. Look around. A blue lamp, a crack in the ceiling, the texture of your jeans. Name them internally. 4 things you can feel. The weight of your feet on the floor, the cool air on your skin, the fabric of the chair, the ring on your finger. 3 things you can hear. The hum of the AC, a car passing by, your own breath. 2 things you can smell. Coffee, rain, or simply the neutral smell of the room. 1 thing you can taste. A sip of water, gum, or just the sense of your own mouth. By the time you finish this sequence, your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system, has usually begun to engage, lowering your heart rate. Progressive muscle relaxation, PMR. Anxiety causes subconscious muscle armoring. We hunch our shoulders and clench our jaws. PMR involves tensing specific muscle groups tightly for 5 seconds, then releasing them suddenly to feel the contrast. Squeeze your hands into fists. Hold. Release. Hunch your shoulders to your ears. Hold. Release. This signals to the brain, we are releasing tension, therefore we must be safe. Part 5. The breath as a remote control. Biological hacking via respiration. Breathing is the only physiological function that is both autonomic, happens automatically, and somatic, can be controlled voluntarily. This makes it the most accessible remote control for your nervous system.
When we are anxious, we take short, shallow breaths into the upper chest. This leads to an imbalance of oxygen and carbon dioxide, which can actually induce feelings of panic. 1. Box breathing, the Navy SEAL method. Used by high-performance populations in the U.S., from elite athletes to military operators, to maintain focus under extreme stress. Inhale through the nose for a count of 4, hold the breath for a count of 4, exhale through the mouth for a count of 4, and hold the empty lungs for a count of 4. The holds are crucial. They allow CO2 levels to normalize, which calms the brainstem. 2. The 4-7-8 technique. Developed by Dr. Andrew Weil, this technique is a natural tranquilizer for the nervous system. Inhale quietly through the nose for 4 seconds, hold the breath for 7 seconds,